If you have a 2006 to 2012 Toyota RAV4 and your air conditioning has started to blow hot air, don't dump money into a new compressor just yet. It might be a simple and inexpensive fix. The first thing you're going to want to do is go through your normal troubleshooting. Check the fuses, check your relays, take a look at that compressor. Now, you will see most likely the clutch spinning, and on this compressor, watching it spin doesn't necessarily mean that it's working because it spins all the time. But I took a manifold gauge set and hooked it up to the low and the high pressure lines, and I saw that the pressure was building a tiny bit, but the low side was way too high. What I did next was take a look at the condenser fan and saw that it wasn't moving. And that means that this compressor is not activated, it's not working. Now I have a diagnostic tool which makes this part easy for me. If you're going to do any kind of DIY work, it's a good idea to invest in one, and I'll put a link to an inexpensive one below. But this tells me here that there's an issue with the AC system, and it's showing a flow sensor issue with the flow sensor, which looks like this. It's a small electromagnetic sensor, and it's mounted to the compressor at the very top here where that black connector is. And I've come to learn that on these Toyotas there are two things that usually go bad. Either that flow sensor, or this here, it's a flow control solenoid. And you don't need a diagnostic tool to test that flow sensor. There's an easy trick you can do. And you'll take a magnet and you'll look at the top of the compressor and you'll find where that sensor is. Take the magnet, make sure your car is running and your AC is on full blast. Carefully put the tip of that magnet, and you need to have a stronger magnet, maybe a 15-pound magnet. But take the tip of this magnet, put it down onto the top of that sensor. If you see the condenser fan kick on, you know that that is your issue. Unfortunately, getting to the compressor in this vehicle is difficult, and that's why it's so expensive if you bring it in to get this done. You can see here where the compressor lives, and it's really hard to get your hands in there. But we can do it if we go underneath the car and we remove this splash panel here. There's a few 10mm bolts and a bunch of little clips. You pull that down, and with some long needle nose pliers and some sort of hook, you can get up in there, grab the back of that connector, use the hook to push down on the tab to release it, and carefully pull it down. Here you can see the back of that connector of the sensor that's still mounted onto the AC compressor. It is held in place by a snap ring. Now, I tried to take it out, which failed. You can see here how the connector is just smashed apart. In retrospect, I should have left it alone. It would have given me a better mounting surface, because really, we don't have to take it out to make this work. We're going to just take the new sensor and plug it into this harness here. Make sure that it fully seats, and you can hear the click of the tab that holds it in place. And the idea is to take a few wire ties and wire tie this harness back up against itself so it'll be kind of vertical, and getting that head of that sensor as close as we can to the head of the original sensor. This part is going to take a lot of patience. You don't have a lot of room to get your hands in there. I used a multitude of tools: long needle nose pliers, some small clippers, anything I could use to help get this back up into place. Remember, we're trying to do this as easily as possible. And the issue in this vehicle is that you've got to take a lot of things apart to get to the compressor, and we're trying to avoid that. As you can see here, what worked for me were 3 wire ties. The first one to get the harness doubled back and kind of going right up against itself. Another one a little bit higher to hold it in place. And I used a third one to grab the corner of the back of the connector and go around one of the lines that go into the compressor. And that seemed to hold it in place just right. You could see here that the head of this sensor is just about over the original one. And with the use of the third wire tie looping around the connector itself over one of these lines, you can see the head of the sensor is right over the original one. And at this point, all you need to do to test this is to go in your car, turn it on, put the AC on full blast, and check for that fan. If the fan turns on and you have no other issues, your AC will turn on and you'll have cold air. Here I took my scanner to go back in and check. If you have a scanner, you can read live data. And one of the things you can do is go right to that sensor and see if it's actually working. And here it's going to show me that it's some voltage. When it was bad, it was flat, it was 0. At this point, I went ahead and cleared the stored codes, checked to see if anything came back, and it was clear. This fix was $26 in total, and a little bit of patience and effort, where most places will tell you you need an entire new compressor and will charge you a lot of money. I like making these videos to show how easy it is to do some of these things yourself, and of course to save money while doing it. I'll put the links below to some of the things I've used, and if you use my links, I will earn a whole 17 cents.